Ibrahim, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
When we talk about AI and risk and compliance, the conversation often jumps straight to automation and models and language. But in reality, everything starts with right data, right? So without right data, AI doesn't create clarity, it actually scales complexity. With that in mind, let's dive right in. What data qualities matter most for effective risk assessment and compliance?
I would say I would start with the basics, completeness and accuracy. Missing information drives risk. Missing names, partial date of birth. Typically, if you perform screening, will spike your false positives, but also expose you to dealing with sanctioned entities or sanctioned individuals. So that's very important, especially when you deal with regions like the Middle East, where you deal with Arabic names, where you deal with South Asian names. In Arabic, take the example of the letter Qa, which transliterates into K or Q in English. Recurrent names like Muhammad, for instance. Yesterday I was doing some research. There is around 50 known variations of the name Muhammad that can actually go up to hundreds, depending on where you are. That creates a challenge. In India, apparently, there is a surname, Devi, that's shared by 70 million people. If you add the complexity of the Arabic naming conventions to that, like in the Middle East, again, it's not first name, middle name, last name. It's actually ism, nasab, laqab, nisba, or kunya. That creates a lot of challenges, so data is going to be very important. We can take the examples of industry-specific challenges, like the shipping industry, which is now all over the news. They have, in the bill of lading, bundled company names that can go up to 20 names that are bundled together with what we call notations, like trading as or care of. Those create a lot of challenges because typically, again, if you perform your screening, you're only going to identify the first or second company name. We worked recently with one of the biggest shipping companies globally, and we've done some data quality work with them before actually performing screening, and we found out that they had up to 18 names bundled together. And then when we parsed the information properly and then performed the screening, we identified more than 50 sanctions that they were actually dealing with that they didn't know about because of this challenge. And finally, I would say standardization is important. Having your country information standard to the ISO codes, the names being standard, the date of birth format, and also extraction. You have hidden names in different fields, date, address, so you need to be able to identify that as well.
Part of the process in ensuring the data is right is having a strong data quality framework, right? How do you think strong data quality framework improves compliance effectiveness?
Well, I would say it's key because it actually turns your compliance solutions and screening solutions from a fragile setup to a robust one that is actually auditable and in constant transformation. Will ensure that the data is in the right format, it's complete, it's accurate, it's standardized before you perform any activities internally. Bad data will always increase the material risk and expose to regulatory fines. We've seen several examples globally. Most famous ones, I would say, TD Bank were fined $3 billion, and Starling Bank in the UK was 28 or 29 million pounds. That was due to failings of screening and data quality controls, not really the solutions that they were using. So that's very important.
And we keep hearing the term AI-ready data, right? What does this really look like in practice, especially as AI takes on a more decision-making role?
It has to be data that you can trust, that you can understand. It has to be data that can be reused at scale safely without the constant need of manual fixing. So again, I'm going to repeat that a lot. It's accuracy and completeness. Minimal missing fields are important. Validated fields and conciliated sources. Legacy systems have sources of information all over the place. You need to identify the biases, understand them, and mitigate them. That's going to be important. And lastly, you need to trace the information. Where is it coming from? Who transformed it? How was it transformed? And that is actually important because you need to also identify the decisions that are relying on that data.
Brilliant. And very relevant to the region is a question around trade-heavy environments, right? How can data help compliance teams manage complex risk in such environments?
Well, it can help you perform an intelligent approach at stages, different stages, as opposed to one size fits all. You start by the data quality checks, pre-screening or pre-any actions that you're going to perform. That's going to help you, identify the different challenges. Again, notations, abbreviations, pretext fields contain a lot of challenges, so that's important. Then you parse the information properly, normalize it, whether it's ports, cargo ships, etc. And that would, after that, lead to you using the right technology and use technology that is actually context-aware or scenario-based as opposed to just basic percentages to be able to perform your screening, because that's going to protect you from the risk. That makes sure that this layered approach actually makes sure that you're using data that you understand, not some unknown information that nobody can actually rely on.
Yeah. And as customer and metadata volumes increase, it's exploding, right? What are some of the biggest opportunities and risks that you see for organizations?
Data explosion would come with good and bad. It's a risk and an opportunity, as you said. The opportunity is that with good data, you can perform great analytics. You can understand your customer behavior. You can actually improve the customer experience and also reduce the friction internally, the frustration of your team members. Bad data is going to be, doing the opposite. It's going to increase the risk. It's going to increase the regulatory exposure. It's going to create frustration internally. So it's really a binary approach in this case.
Brilliant. And just to wrap it up, how much does technology choice really matter when it comes to false positives, false negatives, or team effectiveness?
Well, I think any technology today is the foundation of a successful company. If you don't have the right technology in place, it can be very difficult for you to succeed. And a modern technology will make sure that you're actually reducing your workload, you're focusing on the real risk that you're dealing with, the hidden sanctions, as opposed to actually false positives that you review for hours without actually getting to the real risk. Bad technology is going to drive the opposite. It's going to increase workload. It's going to expose you to more risks and potentially to significant fines. But it has to be built on strong data foundations. This data is going to define if your technology is your safeguard, which is actually another way for you to be exposed to risk.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you, Ibrahim.
Thank you so much.
And we hope to see FinScan at work.